Greetings folks, welcome to Bob of All Trades, and before us all here is the Eluktronics Matrix RP-17. Now I had previously reviewed their 15-inch model 3 months prior to today's review, and this laptop is a thermal monster. Perhaps some of the best that we have featured on the channel, maybe even #1 for thermals and fan acoustics. The reason being is because the parts inside and this actual chassis, well, this chassis was originally based off of the RP-17, and that laptop from Eluktronics needed to cool off much higher wattage parts, which makes this machine here providing the consumer with some of the best thermals and or fan acoustic performance that we can get on a laptop at this price point, perhaps even in general as far as a gaming laptop goes. And that is pretty awesome. So let's start off with what is inside the Matrix RP-17. Now the bottom panel offers excellent airflow, thick rubber feet in the rear, thinner in the front for good air accessibility for the chassis. Now accessibility to get inside can be a little bit more frustrating. So we do have 12 Phillips head screws, but there's a lot of tabs that are going to actually hold the bottom panel in place versus the preferred method of it just lifting right off. So for starters, these little plastic pieces on either end, they will need to pop right off. Now I did have that one already started, so this one's going to be just a little bit more difficult because I don't have it started. There we are. And then I'm going to grab a hold, I'd say right around here, and just slowly start to pry and pull away gently onto the bottom panel. We don't need to just savagely rip this thing apart. All right, and there it is. So real-time bottom panel teardown could take you around 30 to 40 seconds. So inside we have the Ryzen 4800H right here. Now this has a Cinebench 20 score of over 4,400 points. Now over here we have a 90 watt RTX 2060 that we can electro boost to 110 watts. So within beast mode, that's going to give us a Firestrike score on the graphics of just over 17,000 and the physics score of over 21,000, and the performance will scale within the control center software settings. So whether you're using beast mode or all the way down to office mode, as you can see here. Thermals are outstanding on the RP-17, with the CPU rarely breaching 80 degrees Celsius and the GPU rarely breaching 70 degrees Celsius. This is with the system at maximum load using maximum fans. At maximum fans, the decibels are around 48 to 50 dB. But wait, it gets a lot better. So let's say you were to use the quiet profile, the office profile within the control center type software, right? And what you will get now is you will get a system that will not run Electro Boost on its GPU. That means the 2060 will default back to 90 watts. And now you will get not only a thermal efficient solution because of the less wattage being pulled from the system, but you get this amazingly quiet fan profile. We're talking 38 to 40 decibels at gaming load for just a small performance sacrifice. And that is awesome. That really showcases the thermal efficiency of this chassis, as it was ultimately designed originally to house parts that pulled much higher wattage. And that is one of the greatest things ever. Instead of just, scaling down the wattage with the parts that are inside, a lot of manufacturers will actually shrink the cooling solution to compensate, which is just baffling. Why on earth would you do that? Instead, just utilize a lot of the parts and materials that you already have instead of re-engineering them, and then give us a really cool laptop. That sounds awesome, all puns intended there. So let's talk about what else makes up this RP-17. The rest of the components include dual channel memory. These are both accessible and replaceable. The base model that we have here has 16 gigabytes in total at 3200 megahertz. For storage, you will have two M.2s. Again, the base model has half a terabyte NVMe storage. The network interface card is the AX200 Wi-Fi 6, very much appreciated there. and the battery is the 62 watt-hour solution. So let's talk about that 62 watt-hour battery. For starters, it's good for around 5 to 8 hours. If you want to let it idle with lower brightness and just watch movies, then you should be able to get 9 or 10 hours very, very efficient, which was actually kind of surprising. But realistically, 5 to 6 hours based on how I use it, maybe a little bit of Photoshop here, doing some Skype, I'm constantly pinging the Wi-Fi, but if you disable a lot of these tasks, lower your brightness, and maybe you're just using it in school to take notes, then you're probably going to get through a whole entire day, no problem there. But let's talk about something even more important to me, is that 62 watt-hour battery was originally supposed to be a 47 watt-hour battery. And between my first review of the RP-17, which indeed housed a 47 watt-hour battery, by the way, they are all 15 and 17 will be getting the 62 watt-hour battery. The 47 watt-hour battery is history. But between that review, the CEO of Eluktronics pushing hard to get that larger battery, and the most important part of it all was the wonderful community making comments in that comment section below within the review of the RP-15 Matrix, wishing, begging for the larger battery. And it was the culmination of those three things where chassis manufacturer finally caved and we were able to get the larger battery for this system. And that really sealed the deal for many people out there on the 15-inch model. I'm just proud to announce that carried over to the 17 as well, and the battery life is outstanding. So let's talk about that display. Okay, so far we have a lot of horsepower, excellent thermal efficiency, and wonderful fan acoustics should you need it. Surely the display has to have been compromised, right? No, not at all. We have a full HD IPS 144 Hz panel, right? Pretty standard nowadays. 98% standard RGB and 328 nits. And this is great. I mean, this is an excellent panel for this machine. It's well balanced, it's nice to look at, and it really should be the standard moving forward. So what about that webcam and microphone? It is up top, but is it any good? Let's have a look and listen. Okay, so for starters, webcam and microphone placement, yes. Of course, this is what we want. Now, as far as the video quality goes of the 720p webcam, it's decent. There's really not a whole lot of ghosting. We are doing this on battery. We always test this on battery. And battery or plugged in, it works identical. So good consistency there. Keyboard strokes will sound like this. Doesn't seem to pick it up too bad. Now, maximum fans. It will actually sort of dim itself out. Now, the audio quality for my voice is mildly compromised, but the fact that it is tuned to this level is, again, a standard that I would like to see achieved amongst all manufacturers out there, and most of them do it, but some do not. So all in all, good usability of the webcam. So Eluktronics, keep it up. Well done. Powering the RP-17 and 15 is a 180 watt power supply unit, physically small in size, and does not get piping hot when under load. Let's take this up to my office and talk about usability next. Now, discussing usability of the Matrix RP-17 for starters, there is a D brand skinned on here. This is part of their covert line, so there's no logos or labels on this device, but with the D brand skin, it does feature their logo aesthetic through there. Maybe hard to catch on the camera. This is an option. Moving on to the right-hand side for port selection, we have the ultra high-speed 1 card reader. Not the fastest, but as a content creator, I love that it is here. The card does not insert itself all the way into the chassis. We have 2 USB 3 ports and some exhaust. Moving on to the rear, we have 2 mini display ports, which is awesome, and an HDMI for driving multiple displays. We also have a USB-C for data only, and the barrel power port for the 180 watt power supply unit that we just discussed 1 minute ago. And then moving on over to the left-hand side, of course, we do have some more exhaust. No surprise there, the thermal solution that we have with this RP-17 is spectacular. Local area network port with the tab down. I would prefer this to be up, but this is a thicker chassis, so getting this disconnected is not really too difficult. We also have a USB 2 and then a separate mic and headphone port. Now, this laptop will not open up too well with one hand. It's close. There's minimal liftoff here. Nonetheless, those out there that prefer the one-handed liftoff, sorry to disappoint you. Now, it does take a few seconds for it to come to life. We do have that resin compound here. Now, it doesn't really leave fingerprints that much, but the trackpad and the keys themselves will leave a little bit of that oil from your fingerprints should you have oily hands. Now, as far as the trackpad's concerned, we do have no dedicated buttons, and the trackpad is a plastic unit here. There's a minor bit of rattle. Let's see if we can pick this up. Other than that, click symmetry, I mean, it's pretty basic stuff here, and you can disable it by double tapping the top left-hand corner. Of course, you can do this with the function keys as well. Pretty nice. Not gonna lie, for a gaming laptop, this is fine for me, but everyone's use case is different here. Now, when it comes to the keyboard, we have a full island style keyboard here. It is pretty basic, but it is very, very well lit. I do appreciate the number pad and the enter key. I like that. This is a layout that I'm personally used to as I daily drive an Aero 15. Now, key travel does feel pretty good here. And as far as the RGB goes, it is just a single zone solution, and you may have around a dozen colors or so to choose from. In that case, I tend to go with the white just to demonstrate that, as that seems to be the most common color question that I do receive on the channel. Now, as far as the keyboard temps themselves, right around 34 degrees Celsius at load, trying to pull maximum temperatures. There's no discomfort while under load using this laptop, which is awesome. I'd say it's definitely above average there. Up top, we do have the power button, and then we have the power mode cycling here to the left of that. Pretty standard now as far as electronics goes. And what about that speaker audio? Okay, well, I am pleased to announce that it does pass the latency mod, so you real-time audio fans out there that want to make music, go for it. But as far as the audio quality, that's probably average. Okay, so my conclusion. I'm good with this. How could I not be? Now, if this was a $1,500 or $1,600 laptop, then sure, I would have some further requests to justify that price. But at its current asking price, links in the description below, and I word it like that just in case there's sales down the road or price adjustments that does not reflect negatively based on whatever price it may be as of today. There's nothing for me, major or even really minor, to complain about for this machine's asking price. It's giving people what they want, I think, at a fair price. Webcams up top, very nice display, a cool running laptop, a quiet running laptop, a powerful laptop, and probably the most powerful Ryzen 4000 series laptop on the market as of August 2020. I just don't see what to frown about. And the battery upgrade, 62 watt hours. Okay, it's not the biggest battery out there, but it gets me throughout my day, and it will probably get most of you throughout your day as well, of course, pending what you do task-wise on your laptops. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Hopefully you like my review of this Matrix RP-15. Links in the description below for this laptop. I'm Bob of All Trades, and I'll see you in the next video.